women, there was already equality before this political, feminism is just a political arm of like basically a spiritual movement. That's why I wrote the book. It has multiple meanings, but we had equality. The equality was this: women have always been the gatekeepers of sex and who gets to reproduce. That's why every one of us alive today has twice as many female ancestors as we have male ancestors. The only thing you ever had to do historically in order to be picked and have kids, which, you know, at a base level, what we're trying to do is reproduce ourselves to get our DNA to continue on into the future. All you had to do as a woman to accomplish that is be fertile. Someone will fertilize you. That's all you had to do. It doesn't matter. You can be kind of ugly. You can be fat. You can be not so interesting. You don't have to do much. You just have to be there and have eggs. Men historically had to survive danger. They had to have respect, they had to have resources, they had to be picked, or at least be picked by the girl's father or something of that nature.
That by force, actually, they didn't have to do any of that. They didn't have to be respectful.
Well, it depends. So, but even by force, you're competing against all the other men. So that's why you had war brides historically. If the Vikings could come in and conquer your nation, they could take your women. So you as a man had to defend your nation from the invaders because you don't want them to take your women, because then they take her eggs and now your people are their people. So this is like a fundamentally historical thing that has not gone away. And what we did with feminism was we gave women more power by letting them retain the gatekeeping to sex and the gatekeeping to reproduction, and women still have their sexual power, their spiritual power that they've always used.
You think they shouldn't have that?
Now they have political and legal power, and what they've done is stacked the deck against men, and in doing so, unwittingly stacked the deck against themselves and against humanity, because now, look at what we have. We have no kids, we can't replace our own population, we have to import invaders from the outside world to wait, just let me finish.
Go.
We are forced. Like, this is where Republicans get it wrong. If you want to stop immigration, you've got to increase the birth rate, because we will not have a labor force if we don't do that. And you can't increase the labor force if you're telling women to delay childbirth and marriage in order to have a career. We are in a conundrum. It's a catch-22.
Yes.
And so that's why you don't focus on rights. You focus on duties, and you focus on responsibilities. You say individual responsibility. That's part of it, but part of individual responsibility is also maintaining your tribe and your community and your culture and your society as a whole. Because your individual rights will go away.
The foundation
We're on the edge right now of this all falling apart, and then strong men will take back over, and your women's rights will go bye-bye.
Okay, first they need to get their testosterone levels up, because right now they are decreasing on average 1%.
Do you know why?
1% every year since
do you know why?
the 1980s. That's really bad.
Do you know why? Do you think men can just how do they just get their testosterone back up?
They have to focus on themselves as individuals, Rachel, I'm trying to...
Guys, just focus on yourself as an individual. Your testosterone will go through the roof.
Because right now it is true that outside factors are affecting this. They're poisoning our food, they're poisoning our water, our environment. So let's focus, we can't really do anything about that ourselves as individuals. We can't fix the problem. We can only take care of ourselves. And by taking care of ourselves as individuals, we do help society as a whole. That is my argument.
Yeah, but what you just did is something else that you've been doing all night, which is conflating the problems of post-industrialization and technology with rights.
Where have I mentioned industrialization or technology?
You haven't mentioned it, but you don't understand that the problems you're putting on men and the problems you're putting on gender inequality, that's not the root of those problems. The root of those problems is industrialization and technology, the same industrialization and technology that allows you to be a feminist.
Okay, and that's not going away anytime soon. Unfortunately or fortunately, it doesn't matter. It is a reality, right? So what are you going to do other than...
Well, it's a reality when you don't like it, but when I say what's a reality, then you just go, no.
Let me finish talking on that point. It is a reality, so what are you going to do? Just sit there and complain that we can't go back to how things were? We can't do a time machine?
It's not about going back.
Because that is basically what you're prescribing.
Nope.
And again, everything that you have described still doesn't give any kind of solid argument. as to why you believe, or not you believe, as to why women should not have the right to vote, which is my argument that, again, you're not going to convince me differently.
I know, because you're stuck. You're stuck in a paradigm where everyone votes. I'm saying if you take away this, you don't have to start with the presupposition that everyone needs to be able to vote. We never did things that way except for the last 100 years. All of human history, nobody voted. And nobody needs to vote.
And we have a higher, despite all of our problems, we do have a higher quality of life right now.
But not because of voting. This is what I'm saying. Life has improved. Life has improved because of technology, because of advancements in things like medical care, clean water, industry, and like globally being able to ship supplies to where they need to go. That's what's given us a better quality of life. Not voting. Letting women vote. How did women voting improve life for us? Tell me.
Rachel, you have a monocausal argument as to why things are out of whack.
You have that.
No, you have a monocausal argument, which is women's voting is what destroyed modern society.
I've never said women's voting. The voting is a side issue to me.
Okay.
It's
the main issue to me. And
it's not to me. And you keep projecting that on me. Nobody gives a fuck about women voting. Why do you think that?
Women give a fuck about women voting.
We care about the overall effects of artificially placing women in a strata of power that they have no business being in because it's deeply unnatural.
You may not feel comfortable with that, Rachel.
No, it's unnatural because they're only
it may not be natural.
We're blowing smoke up women's asses. They are only there because of a subset of men that go, yes, sweetie, you can be in the government. Go ahead. We'll do whatever you say.
I think that there's plenty of women in the government.
It's all an illusion.
For you, this is, again, personal opinion. There are plenty of intelligent, capable women in roles of government that are good at what they do, and we respect. In fact,
I'm not saying women can't be smart and use their brains and think.
Yeah, in fact,
that has no bearing on the fact.
Let me finish talking, God.
You'll never finish talking. You've been saying the same thing for the last 5 hours, and you don't even understand what you're talking about.
There's a lot of women that work in the intelligence community, because you know why? For a job like that, you have to have both
You don't need voting rights.
Intelligence.
You don't need voting rights.
Emotional intelligence.
Women can work in intelligence and they don't need political power.
Your argument is that all women are emotional, all women are irrational, and they are not fit for roles of leadership.
It's because
or roles in government. You said that 30 seconds, a minute ago.
It's part of it. And I disagree you only hear one thing because your mind can only think about one thing at a time.
No.
You're not very good at taking multiple variables and combining them.
You're actually just bad, again, at coping with the reality that women are not a monolith.
You're bad at coping with the reality that you only have any rights or have this illusion that you can do the things you can do because men have let you do it. Men have invented technology and granted you rights that let you do it. The reality is me. I'm the one that lives in reality and goes, oh, this is all an illusion. If the Wizard of Oz wants to take it away tomorrow, it's gone.
Okay.
So that's not, and it's not how things have worked except for the last 100 years.
When you go back home,
you think
Rachel,
all of history was wrong except for the last century?
I think that not even the last century. I think at least until after they passed the Equal Credit Opportunity Act in 1974, things were wrong because women didn't have financial opportunity.
So then what are you trying to conserve? If everything we did before 1975 was wrong, what do you want to conserve?
Wait, putting words in my mouth. Why did you say everything we did? No.
I just asked you, was all of history conducted, things were just wrong until 1975?
That one thing was wrong. Not letting women have financial freedom was wrong. That is the thing we let them, though. It was, do you not understand that it wasn't that women were denied, it's that we didn't have technology, we didn't have industry. The natural state of things is that women cannot survive alone. We are not rugged individualists. We're meant to spend most of our life pregnant and breastfeeding and watching toddlers. That is what we're meant to do. In your opinion,
What about birth control?
in your opinion, Rachel?
Prior to birth control, there was no
disagree.
option. There was no option. You
Fantastic.
ended up pregnant.
Who invented birth control? It was men, Rachel, to make women more accessible and
So
disposable.
you think we should
to
take
them.
away birth control because the bad men created it?
I don't agree with the taking of hormonal birth control because it wreaks havoc on women's bodies. But again,
I agree with you.
You just brought up the
But
topic.
if you do
Let
that,
me-
you
oh my God,
realize,
you
well, what do you
need-
think will
Brian,
happen?
We need you here.
What
We
do you
need a
think will
man.
happen if
We need a man.
We do need
in
a
the-
man.
on this table, Brian.
I got her.
To stop.
I got her, boys.
To stop the interruptions.
What do you
from-
think happens if we take
from
away hormonal
from
birth
a highly
control?
hysterical woman that can't control herself or her emotions or
Oh,
interruptions.
that's beautiful. Cope for the girl who can't think past level 2 and has been getting her ass beat this whole debate. That's so cute.
Sure.
It's a good thing you're pretty.
Most rational people watching are going to disagree with that statement, but
We'll see.
Again,
We'll see.
Rachel, you still can't make
Okay, so we take away hormonal birth control. Where's your girl bossing gonna go then?
in taking back control of our cycles. Do you know?
Oh,
this is something
yeah,
that
okay.
really pissed off Brian. In
You
the last,
think that these 22-year-old
last,
OnlyFans chicks and these promiscuous college girls that are getting
Are you
blackout
gonna-
drunk every weekend are gonna like take a break from that during their and they're gonna keep track of their site? Get the fuck out of here. That's
yes,
so
it's
ridiculous.
actually very easy.
Birth
and-
control is actually the main technology that
And
has
thanks-
enabled feminism. And if you got rid of
So you're-
hormonal
so
birth
we're
control
both-
tomorrow, your feminism is gone, baby.
So we're both against hormonal birth control.
Fastest way to get rid of feminism. Fastest way to get rid of all this nonsense
I
of
agree.
pretending that women can run everything when they can't.
Look at that. We are agreeing on something towards the end of this episode, but we are agreeing for different reasons. You
You don't understand the
you-
logical entailment of your
you are
position
arguing-
as usual.
You are arguing against it because it would end feminism, in your opinion. I argue
would.
against it because it is terrible. It's like giving people poison, basically.
Yeah, it's almost like
And we
trying to
should-
avoid getting pregnant
and
your
we
whole life
should-
so you can have sex is really bad.
Sure.
Seems like that's bad.
We agree on that same point. And again, it all goes back to what, Rachel? Individual
And so if all the women are
responsibility.
ending up pregnant, how
So-
many of them are going to be girl bossing? None.
So, okay, I'm sure. Great,
No.
fantastic. You'd love that.
Well, why do you think feminism?
Are we going to do the whole,
why do you think
do
feminism
you want
didn't
to
come
speak?
about
Do you want me
until
to put
50
a
years
timer
ago?
on my phone or
No, I just want to ask you a question. Why did feminism not come about until after the technology allowed it? Why wasn't there feminism 500 years ago? If women just were dying to get out of their situation, why didn't they do something about it 200, 500, 1,000 years ago?
The title may have existed only within recent historical concepts, but I think throughout human history, yes, there have been rowdy women advocating for rights.
Right, but
even if it's not,
but now feminism
even if
is
it's
dominant.
not documented as feminism. Yes,
But
that
now
is-
it's the dominant thing
that has
everywhere.
been the case.
Everywhere in the
Everywhere.
West, feminism is the dominant thing. Equal rights for
is-
women, women in politics, women in power, women in business, right? Why do you think they didn't do that until 50 years ago?
Rachel, I'm not, again, here to argue.
I don't
for
know,
fa-
and I
for-
don't care because I don't like thinking about things.
No,
I'll tell you
I
why.
don't,
Because
no.
we didn't have
wait,
birth
are we gonna-
control.
are
We
gonna
didn't
get
have
back and forth?
technology.
Oh, do I just tap this?
Well,
so
I'm tired of
we
just
can't-
listening to you endlessly prattle, so now I'm going to prattle back a little
So
bit.
you've been the
We
one
could do
mostly.
some chats.
Yeah, let's do some
We gotta do
chats.
some chats.
You've
Let's
been
do
the one
some
mostly
chats.
interrupting during this entire time because you don't.
I'm
have
very
good-
dominant.
Because you don't. Have
I'm a very dominant
good
woman.
arguments.
I
No,
don't have good arguments.
No.
Oh, honey, I
And-
can't wait for you to read the
And
comments.
you don't want to listen to valid ones.
That's
so you
adorable.
try to.
That's
it's
so
called-
cute.
It's
from
ca-
somebody who went to
it is-
college for
it is
politics
called-
and doesn't know she's a libertarian.
It
That's
is-
cute.
It is called the heckler's veto. So you don't let people talk so that people can get their point across. That's what you've
put
been
a
doing.
poll in the chat of who has
Rachel, do you
interrupted and
think-
prattled the most. It's not me. We got to the end and I was just like, fuck it, I'm just going to talk over her at this point.
We actually did
yeah,
do a
so
poll.
you did
Wait, really
finally.
quick. We did do a poll because I think you had asked, or there was a discussion between the both of you as to who would be most likely to get lobotomized. And the results
From your.
I think it was skewing
Mostly.
quite heavily towards you being the one
I am
to get
so
lobotomized.
surprised. I'm so surprised by those results from this audience, guys.
Can you get an elective?
Why are you such a hater? Why do you got to hate on millions of
Who
people that
could've-
watch this
who
show?
could
Are they
have-
all incels?
If a lot of them are, I'm here to try to help them not be. And
Thank God.
And what you
what
are
would we do without your help?
and what you are prescribing them.
Here, we got chats.
And what you are prescribing them is going to keep them as incels for much, much longer, Rachel.
Oh my
so you're
God,
not doing them
who the
any kind of
hell
favor.
Right?
I doubt this, but okay. We have base Justin here. So men should lead the government based on what the women who voted them into power want. Define leadership, please. And of course, your husband can only lead if you completely agree. Got it. TikTok. Quick response to this, but then I need to get through the rest of the chats.
That whole argument just doesn't make any sense to me. Period.
Well, it was, I think, on the back of the question I asked you, if you believe that men should lead both on the micro and the macro level.
Primarily-
You agreed to that.
Yeah, and
But what
primarily on the
happens
micro
when
level themselves.
when a singular woman or women, plural, disagree with men's leadership? Do you defer to their leadership despite disagreeing with their decision, or do you veto their leadership?
I think that right is right, and wrong is wrong, and
Who's the arbiter of that?
facts, right? Facts don't care about your feelings. If a man
Facts determine what's right and wrong.
if a man, says, because of the fact that I am a man, I determine this, but this is just wrong, then it's wrong.
Could it
period.
be established by consensus?
It has to be verifiable fact, right? So if a man says, I don't even know what example to
What if, how about this?
come up with.
What if all the women were in favor of open borders and men were against it? And because you might have people on the left, for example, I mean, you're both conservative. You have people on, or at least right wing.
It's wrong
But-
to allow open borders,
Right, but
whether
you
the
have
man
people-
wants it, whether the woman wants it.
But leftists will forward arguments about how, well, there's actually economic benefits to having immigration to this level.
Well, then we'd have to bring out little notes and facts and show how it's not. In fact, there's plenty of, not just studies, this is just facts from the government, how migration is a net detriment to society. Pretty much migrants.
But people
from
have other
everywhere.
facts
No,
contrary
there's no
to that.
such thing. There's no such thing
well,
as different facts in that
Liberals
case.
and leftists will forward
In that
contrary
case,
facts.
they can pull
Because
studies.
there's no such thing as brute facts. It always
can
depends
pull-
on framing.
No.
It always depends on context and framing. Yes, this is why I say you're not capable
so
of
are we-
thinking past like level one.
So, for example, Rachel,
crazy
when it
to
comes
me.
to the argument that Brian
Facts are just
when
facts.
it comes to the argument that Brian just mentioned, they took a sample of migrants that were in the country for 30 years, and they broke it up into the nationality that they come from, and they saw that no matter the nationality, they were a net tax burden on society, i.e.
Are women a net tax burden on society?
No, I think you pulled that up last time and showed that that was not the case.
I think it did show that it
Okay,
was the
but
case.
I would love to chime in on that if I can.
Really quick, though, really quick. Here, let's
but
do this.
that is a fact,
Let me
for
let a few more
example.
chats come through. Guys, if you're enjoying the stream, like the video. What are we on likes? I think we just hit 4,000 likes. I would love, we still have about 9,000 people viewing just here on whatever. We have another 1,000 on Twitch, a couple hundred on Kick, and then I think there's like 5,000-6,000 watching on the Crucible. Guys, can we get the likes to 5,000 likes? We're at 4,000 likes. Let's get it to 5,000. Let me let a few chats come through. We do have Doofus here. That's his name. Doofus. All right, woman. Come change my toilet and fix my washer and then grill, then provide for the family. That is from Doofus. Thank you, Doofus. And he has a follow-up which reads, she doesn't even know, it's coming in just a moment, she doesn't even know what a straw man is. That's his follow-up there.
So he gave $200 to just write that?
Yes.
Crazy.
He did.
It's a very
Could have
good point,
taken a lady.
though.
Could have taken a lady out on a date for that amount of money and actually.
Could you
be
tell
happier.
us how we get
do both.
how do we get an ought from an is?
What if he's gay,
Because
though?
that's what he was addressing. You're saying facts are just facts, and I have facts. Okay, you have facts. How do the facts tell us what we should or ought do?
So it takes rational people coming to having a discussion and presenting the facts. What are you trying to argue?
You should look up Hume's guillotine when you get home. I know you don't do philosophy, but there is no
Sure.
way to there is no way to get an ought from an is. You can't say this is the case. So like if you said somebody on the show said this recently, they were talking about this, like,
Specific example. Yeah.
you know, it's cold outside, therefore you ought fix your refrigerator. Like you can't take something that
jacket, you
is the
mean?
case and then extrapolate a moral ought from it. So if you say,
That's a terrible example, I'm sure. You
it's
meant
probably a
something better.
terrible example, but how do you jump from saying this is the fact of the matter to this is what we ought do about it? Because everyone's going to have different ideas about what we ought do about it, which is something you said yourself. You're like, Democrats will get into office and they'll have a totally different view and they'll say we ought to do this instead.
Yes, it doesn't change. Again, it doesn't change facts behind it, right? So Democrats are going to say, oh, we ought to allow open borders. The facts are that negatively impacts our country, whether they do it or not, or allow it or not. It doesn't change
But
the
as
fact
Brian said,
that it's detrimental.
But then they'll
to us
just,
as a
so
country.
you'll say, here's the reasons we think it's bad, and they'll say, here's the reasons we think it's good.
They have no good logical reasons
but
other
the
than
facts don't tell.
other than cultural enrichment or diversity.
She's not.
We
she's
do
not
have a
going to get it.
response
Sorry,
from
she's not going to get
Doofus
it.
here. He says he is a man and he can afford to because he's worked for a living.
Good. That's $300 now that could have gone to something more productive.
To a woman?
To a woman.
To a
than
woman.
this.
Should he have spent it
Or-
on OnlyFans instead of this?
He probably does that as well. I would
How
bet
would you,
money
what
on it.
evidence would you have for that?
I would bet money on that too. Or some kind of pornography. But again, just
Men should spend more money on a date than be a patron of a podcast.
again,
that
coming
is,
totally understand the point of self-interest there. So I get it.
right. Well, in any case, let me get through the rest of the chats. Red Fox 11, FemCon, are you a good example for women?
Where's the FemCon? Are they sitting back there? or-
I think it's
That's
you.
you.
It
You
might
sure?
be you.
Oh, it's definitely not me. I'm like trying to look for her FemCon.
Yeah.
Look, you can say you're not a feminist, but the facts demonstrate that you
facts.
are. The fact is that all of your positions are feminist and classical liberal, and the fact is you're not a conservative.
Sure.
And you're a feminist.
Sure.
You're a libertarian, left-leaning feminist based on the facts.
Absolutely wild. Again, I think that people watching this that have two brain cells will determine the opposite of that. I think that you just come from a
don't
position.
think they will. I think you are. I think you grossly
I think you come
underestimate
from a position
your.
of
You grossly
self-condescension.
overestimate your intelligence, and you grossly underestimate the intelligence of normal people to understand what just happened here.
Grossly mischaracterize people's intelligence in your own
No,
mind,
just yours.
and it makes you
Just yours. Look, I can't explain the is-ought gap to you. You don't understand it, and I don't know
yes.
how to fix that
Yes,
for you.
I
You don't
I do,
understand that
Rachel.
there's no such thing as brute facts that don't have context, and you don't understand that you can't take an or an ought prescription for what we should do in a moral quandary from a brute fact. I don't know why you don't get that, but you don't.
I get what you're saying, Rachel. You're the one making the ought argument. We ought
No,
to.
you
not,
are. You're
to
saying
not
we
allow,
ought to grant rights. We ought to give
ought to
women
not-
this. We ought to.
not allow women to vote.
She doesn't even understand that this whole
is-
time she's just been asserting ought claims. The whole time she's just been going, we
Rachel.
ought to
The
have
whole time.
rights. We ought to let women do it. The whole time has just been you asserting ought claims.
Rachel.
And
the
when I
entire
say,
time.
what do you base that on? What's your epistemology? Where do you get that from? You just say, I just think, and you said
just think.
the closest you got to was naturalism. But
Natural laws,
naturalism,
yes.
natural law would dictate patriarchy. Patriarchy would be natural law.
Too much.
And you reject
Overdid it a
patriarchy.
little bit.
You want equality. Equality is not natural. The natural world does not have any concept of equality.
Yes, and
you don't get
legal
it.
framework. Legal
Hold on, wait,
framework
I'm
is
sorry,
not
I gotta-
determined.
I
Legal
gotta let the
framework is
chat
not
go through.
naturalism.
Driana.
Oh my
is
gosh.
Is not determined
Driana.
on
Can't believe you
different
have
kinds.
Driana, I gotta let
college
this.
degrees.
Facts don't care about
hierarchy.
feelings. Rachel, why do you have a joint bank account with Andrew? Don't you trust your husband to manage all finances by himself? The men will never take rights from the women, so who cares if they can?
What? They're asking why I have a joint bank. I said I don't
up
have
again.
Yeah.
bank accounts in my own name.
Yeah, she said, why do you even have a joint one? Why doesn't Andrew have the bank account himself?
He does have multiple accounts that are only in his name. The only one I have access to is the one that he wants me paying bills out of, because I do the paperwork part of the budget
why,
every month.
Okay, so that's their argument, is why, do you have a joint one?
So
Why
that
doesn't
I can do the bills, because he told me to do the bill. He says, I don't like doing paperwork and bills. I'd rather you handle all that. So I'm going to put that money
And that's
that I
the-
want you to distribute to bills in that account, and that's what you can use to shop and pay for things. He's got his own
So it is
accounts
a
that are in
joint
his.
account still.
There is one joint account. So
What do you think about this, though? So Andrew, and he's been doing this. He's been financially abusing Rachel for years.
It's crazy.
You know her. Wait. Her book royalties, the money she makes from her book, Andrew steals that from Rachel and buys firearms. How do you feel about that? How do you feel about that?
What I will say is, when I first spoke to your husband.
Well, do you want to address the stealing of the book royalties?
Yes, poor Rachel. We need to start a GoFundMe for Rachel to have the financial freedom
Andrew
to
will also steal
to
that money, too.
afford financial independence and choose what to do with her life. No, when I first
But I've already chosen what I want to do with my life, and it's to honor and serve my husband.
When I first heard,
I'm very happy. I don't need your help. You have listen. You have nothing
I
I
was
want.
thinking of starting.
You
a
have
GoFundMe
nothing in
for
life
you.
that I want. I've got kids. I've got a husband. I've accomplished a lot in the intellectual.
Fantastic.
I've done everything. There's nothing you have that I want. So please don't help me. Please, I don't want your help.
Likewise.
You said you wanted to have a husband and kids.
And I am. It's a timeline matter, not a.
Okay, so I do have. I do
Are
have
your
something you
eggs
want.
frozen?
Not-
I'm goals.
You asked me the same
I'm goals
question.
for her, you guys.
Wait,
I'm goals.
Are your eggs? Have you frozen your eggs? Or?
No, I have
Okay.
not frozen my eggs.
Well,
my
we
eggs
have
are
some.
fine.
I believe it. I believe it.
Yeah, my eggs are fine. It's more the men that quite literally need to be checking up on their the same.
I love how you think that
Same
you're going
word
to
for
win
that.
over the public opinion by constantly insulting men. This
I'm not
whole
insulting
podcast.
men.
Oh, you've been insulting men
I'm
this
telling
whole
men
podcast.
that they
I'm
are-
telling men. I'm telling men.
Unhealthy. They have.
I'm telling them how they can be better.
They have
be
the
better, men.
testosterone level
Be
of their
better.
grandparents in this day and age as the average testosterone for men within their 30s and their 40s. That
My
is
grandma would be
terrible.
like, you know
That is
what?
terrible.
You want to talk about people's grandparents? If my
frog.
grandma was here, she'd be like, if you
Yeah.
want kids, you better get on it. So, I mean, let's not talk shit about all the men.
I
let's
have not
do
once
that.
talked shit about the men.
That's all you've done this whole
No,
show.
I have
You've been
not.
calling them incels, telling them how they're not good enough, telling them where they need
I
to do
didn't say
better.
men are
Men,
incels.
be better.
I
if
think
the men be better, the
there's-
women will be better after. But you
Again,
have to be better first,
hecklers-
and you have to lead, but only the way that we want you to lead.
Heckler's veto. Heckler's veto.
If you
This is what-
lead in the way that we approve of, then we'll let you lead, and then we'll do stuff if we want to. But it just depends.
We have
you just
a
have to do what
hysteric.
we want.
We have a hysteric woman here. Maybe we need a lobotomy.
I'm doing an impression of you.
I'm gonna
so.
lobotomize both of you. How about that? Here, look.
yeah.
Let's let me get through some of the chats.
Again, you-
wait. Hold on.
Love
We got
the
some chats. We got
interruption.
Pasty George. Hey, it's our good friend Pasty George. Guys, I think it's been a month or two. Can we get some
Hi,
W's in the
Pasty
chat for
George.
Pasty George? It's been a while since we've seen the guy. Thank you, man. Brian, could you please make a poll asking the chat who they think, Rachel or
They spelled it wrong. How sad.
Big? Can I call you Big D?
No, we need
Can
to
I
get
call you-
people. We need to get people on the.
I don't know.
on the right
Hold on,
page.
and finish it. Is making the more valid points in their arguments using facts rather than hearsay anecdotes. I did do that for who would be most likely to be lobotomized. I could do that once I get through the chats. But Pacey George, good to see you. We have, guys, and if you want to get messages in, now's a good time. We have I am right. If I tell you the sky color is red, you can never tell me I'm wrong because as a man, if it is up to me, I can force you into a cage and hurt you until you tell me I'm right. Sorry, lady.
That kind
Okay.
of that proves my point.
He's being hyperbolic.
I know, but that proves my point that it still doesn't make it a reality. That's literally the argument I've been going up
It's
against.
actually
Rachel.
reality, though. Like,
Yes, it doesn't change the fact of the sky being a different color.
oh, I thought you meant putting you in a cage.
Oh, this comes through as a
Samian44X
TTS.
donated $200.
Thank you, Sam.
Explain Hume's guillotine, please. It's pertinent to this debate.
Rachel, do you
If
want
I
to?
can then explain something else that you obviously are not an expert on, but sure, go ahead.
The luteal phases or whatever?
Oh God, not the
boy.
luteal
Oh, boy.
phases.
Getting
I don't
educate
know.
people on
I know
here.
kind of a lot about that. I've had a lot of babies and female things. Well, just to put it like super plainly, because I'm not a specialist in this. Andrew is. I'm okay at philosophy. I'm good at basic logic. I'm pretty good at like fallacies and spotting them and stuff like that. But it's just the idea that you can't take an is statement and get a moral ought from that statement. It's a classical philosophical problem that Hume kind of popularized. And it just, people assume that if they just state facts that the logical inference of what morally should be done about them is obvious, and that's not the case. And she couldn't prove it was the case the whole time. So
Sure. I